Hey STMS, it's Mrs. Sider again. I am back at my hives. I'm standing behind them right now. I just wanted to give you a brief little explanation of what it is that I am doing right now. Just so when I talk about some stuff, you guys know what I'm talking about. The lower box of a hive is called the deep, and that is where the queen lays the eggs and where they hatch, and there's larvae in there. So that's called a deep. So these two boxes on this hive is where the queen lays the eggs. And remember, in the last one I put my queen excluder on. That keeps the queen bee down in these two hives. Where they store honey is called a super. So this is my honey super on this one. This little skinny box here is just a feeding box, and that's where I put feed. So deep, this is a medium box where the queen also lays eggs, honey super. So that's just a little bit of an explanation. I'm getting ready to do a hive inspection now on both of these hives. This one is the stronger hive, lots of activity going on. This hive is still kind of recovering from winter a little bit. I'm kind of trying to baby it along a little. So I'm going to inspect both of them. And what I'm looking for is evidence that the queen is there. I don't necessarily have to see the queen because she likes to run and hide. But I want to see that there are eggs there. So that means she's been there within the last day or even a couple hours. So I'm going to look for eggs, I'm going to look for larvae, and just kind of generally inspect their health. So that's what I'm getting ready to do. One other thing I forgot to mention, this right here, this canister is called a smoker. And what this does is when you puff it, smoke comes out of it. And I'm going to use that. What I use that for is to kind of the bees don't really like the smoke, so they run down into the hive. So beekeepers a lot of times use smoke. They're still eating that sugar water that I put in a few days ago. Still lots of sugar candy. Where I live right now, we have lots of dandelions, lots of stuff in bloom. Trees are starting to bud, so there's lots of pollen around for the bees to be bringing in. Here you can see this is full of honey. This is what capped honey looks like. So if I remember right from last season, pretty much this whole top box is honey. So I'm just gonna kind of peek here and see if there's anywhere where she might be laying eggs down in here. So I'm just gonna take off this box here of frames. I don't know if you can see, these are all frames. They're pretty well full of honey and bees right now. So I'm going to look in here and see if I can see any evidence of the queen down in here.
Oh yeah.
That is the queen. That is super exciting. We're going to, for whatever reason, this colony doesn't seem to be using this bottom box very much. It's a bunch of empty comb. So it's a space that's available to them when they want to use it. Seems like right now they are concentrating all their work here. And as you saw, we found the queen, so we know she's there. I saw some eggs. She's laying eggs down in there. So we're just going to close up this hive. You want to try to disturb them the least amount as possible. So as soon as you see evidence of the queen, generally you close up the hive and let them get back to work. Okay, now I'm going to open up this first hive here. This one seems to be, since it's more bees, it seems like they're a little bit more active and a little bit more aggressive, so I am probably going to use my smoker a lot more this time. And this is the hive that has the queen excluder on it, so I'm going to probably go all the way down in here unless I see eggs in this first medium here. So we'll get to work. There are no bees up top here. That they're probably all out working, bringing in pollen, nectar. I'm just going to take a frame out of this middle one here. Bees tend to usually like to work from the middle out. So I just want to take a peek and see if they've started to put any nectar in. Oh, there's bees here. A little bit of nectar. Not too much, but we did only put it on about 6 or 7 days ago. So you can see here, my queen excluder's on here. Quite a few bees on top of it. I'm just gonna take it and set it over here. Lots of bees down in here working. So I'm just gonna take off one frame at a time, look for evidence of my queen. And it looks like they're storing nectar here, which is not what I want, because nectar turns into honey. I want them to be storing it up high. So, we'll have to figure that one out. I'm not really sure how just yet. But I do have a mentor who helps me out when I have questions like this. So it looks like this frame is mostly nectar and pollen. Okay, everybody, so these little holes that you see have with a little white C shape in there, those are bee larvae. Here's a bigger bee larva right here. So I did not realize when I pulled these apart, these are all drone cells, and that means those are male bees. So drone cells are bigger, and the bees like to kind of put them at the bottom of the frames. So I think probably those won't survive now because I pulled them apart. So, and that happens sometimes. It's a casualty. Okay, everybody, so I found in one of these frames in here, I found eggs, fresh laid eggs. They're very, very tiny. Bee eggs look like a tiny, tiny grain of rice. So I know that the queen is there. There's also a lot of drone brood cells, and that's what those really big larvae that came out of that, those drone cells. So those are the male bees. Male bees do not go out of the hive and gather. They only eat, and then they mate with queen bees from other colonies. That's all they do. So the female bees are the worker bees, and they are the ones that go out and get pollen and nectar, and they take care of the hive. So I'll talk to you guys a little bit more another time about the different jobs that a bee has, because a bee's job changes throughout the course of its life. And another day we'll talk about what all those are. So for now, I'm packing it in because I found what I wanted and I have some questions for my mentor, and I will be back on another day soon. Have a great day.